What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Crash and Thunders. And I'm your host, Thunders, today. Crash has other stuff going on, but with me today is the magnificent Mr. Rock and Roll himself, Johnny Jetson. How are you, brother?
Great, quite an introduction. Magnificent. Can that be taken two ways? It's great to be Andy on Thunders and Crash.
Oh, yeah.
Just having some morning coffee and some rock and roll riffs.
Oh, yes.
How you doing out there?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad. Can't complain. Wouldn't matter if I did. I just keep on trucking, man. How about you?
Well, yeah, keep on trucking.
Fuck yeah. Oh.
So what's on your mind?
Well, the topic is you today, man. And I got to say, first of all, the latest album, Overheated, and the one before that, Make Your Move, they're fantastic, brother. The simplicity just drives me insane because it's so genius. There's like these little nuggets that when you pick up on it, it's not so quite simple in a way. Your lyrical twists, I love. You eat, breathe, shit, rock and roll, man. There's not many people like that anymore, and I love it.
Well, I'm glad you haven't had to see me shit, but
well, yeah.
Thanks for that. Appreciate that. I mean, one of the mottos in my life growing up, being a Kiss fan, being a kid in the 70s and growing up with all that great rock and roll, and especially Kiss was, keep it simple, stupid, was what Kiss me. So try to keep it simple, and over the years kind of evolved and, listened to so much music, and there's so many great things out there. So hopefully some of it rubbed off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Crash is picking up a lot of Beatles influence on that one track that we reacted to, Shine You Up, with the hand claps. And I'm hearing like Stooges and Thunders and just all kinds of different influences coming out at once. And it's just great, man. Where did that all start for you? Like, what was that moment like when you were a kid or whenever it was where like, dude, that's what I want to do? You know what I mean? What was that flashbulb moment, as they say?
Well, it started out young. I remember being about 3 years old when my aunt Kathy went away to college, and she left me her little record player and a stack of 45s. And my earliest, solid memories of existing on planet Earth was learning how to play the record machine, which became everything to me. So, but it's like, being blown up by a bomb. If the closer you are standing next to the bomb, you're the least likely to know what the hell just went off, what just happened. When if you're standing further down, you're like, you watch the whole thing happen. So that's the way I play. Like people saying, oh, I hear the Beatles, and I don't really know. I've never made a conscious effort to sound like any bands, but it's cool to hear that people hear that I listen to those bands and love those bands, and they've rubbed off hopefully in the right way.
That's kind of what I mean. Like, you don't consciously, like, you write what you're influenced by subconsciously almost. You don't, put too much thought into it. It just kind of, that's what comes out. But
right. I mean, that if I put on a AC/DC record and listen to the record and jam along to it and then attempt to write a song right there and then afterwards, I'm sure it's going to sound a bit like AC/DC. Sometimes I get in do that where I just want to get off like a certain, like all my songs are starting to sound the same to me or something. So I'll put on something I haven't listened to in a while that, sometimes I don't listen to music because, man, I don't need to go back there right now. Some of it doesn't have the greatest memories, or they're great memories, but they're just like ones that are heavy. You don't really, so you put on something light that reminds you of like a great night. Sometimes you want to go back and feel feelings that maybe you don't need to feel. Who knows?
Oh yeah, I completely get that. There's a song for every mood.
Yeah, I try to mix it up and trying to like simplify things and strip it down. If you see the camera wobbling or the lights going weird or hear clicking and clacking in the background, that's my son Thor. Come here and say hi. He's just anxious. Say hi to you, Andy.
Hey Thor, what's up? How you doing?
Good.
He's man, little words till you get him going.
Oh, that's all right. My
My pride.
8-year-old's like that. He'll be shy, but then once you get close, he'll start yapping your ear.
Thor's been playing the harmonica since he was a little baby, little boy. He's been blowing on his harmonica. He tinkers with the guitar, tinkers with the piano. It's cool to see. There's no high pressure here to play guitar until recently, when I told him, listen, 10 years old, you need to be able to, get a band going with your friends at school now. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
Is-
got my 7-year-old and my 8-year-old daughters both guitars, and my my oldest daughter wanted a drum set as well, so I was able to find her a nice one. So
very cool. It's great to see kids play.
it
I love
is.
I was young when I was playing, by the time I was Thor's age, I mastered a couple of Kiss records already, and I had a guitar by guy that just showed up in my town one day. I was driving around with my dad in his truck and drove by this guy who looked like Keith Richards walking in my little town on Long Island. And like, who is that guy? Oh my God, it's like the coolest guy I've ever seen walk the streets of my town. And a few nights later, my stepdad came home and he goes, hey, that guy you saw walking down the street that day, he's playing at the local bar. You want to go check him out?
That's cool.
Went and checked him out, and wound up making small talk in between sets, and he agreed to give me guitar lessons, which is cool.
Nice.
And he was living in a 1-room apartment above the bar. So I remember after school one day, just like, oh, this is the coolest thing, and I played a Kiss. I brought a Kiss record. You just get knocked on the head with a guitar, huh, man? Play better to be on the other side of it, Thor. So I brought a Kiss record. I think it was, I wanted to learn how to play Shout Out Loud off a Destroyer.
Yeah.
Like, Kiss? And I'm like, yeah, Kiss. And he's like, oh, Kiss. And he puts it on, listens to the song. It's like, all right, well, I'll show you the basics of this music. It's all rooted in blues. And he wanted to tell me that, Kiss is okay, right? But real music, Zeppelin and the Stones and the Who, and listen to the blues and go back and learn those riffs. So, it's always stuck with me, to kind of go back. If you like a band, you love Motley Crue, I found out, well, what bands were those guys listening to? That was the thing. I wasn't like blinded by the light and just like, oh, this end all be all. Like, these guys are great because they listened to cool shit and took the best of what they could from what they loved and built this new machine.
That's exactly how I've done it, and why I know so many obscure rarities and such. There's so many bands that are so important to rock history that never got the golden ticket. You know what I mean?
Yep.
New York Dolls are one that comes to my mind instantly. They had so much influence over everything over the last, 50 years, 40 years?
My mom was like a hippie turned glam rocker in the early 70s, and she took me to Rocky Horror Picture Show when it was on off, and introduced me to, that the folk turned glam guys like Bowie and Mark Bolan
and T-Rex, yeah.
So music was playing, and she had, platform shoe collection and, glitter platform shoes.
Oh, cool.
When I was Kiss, I was wearing like my mom's platforms and wild fur coats, and it's had an influence. I took people on a Facebook live video tour of my mom's closet when we were down there in Florida playing some shows, and stopped in at my mom's, and her closet, everyone was like, I would die for that closet. Fucking a line of leopard and a line of zebra and a line of
and all that vintage stuff that you really can't get anymore.
Yeah, it's been inspiring the whole way through rock and roll and the cool stuff of that era, and I've been a picker and a collector.
That's cool.
Picking stuff out of trash cans and picking guitars my whole life,
Yeah.
Here's a cool new riff I got. I don't know, kind of Aerosmithy. I could
Yeah.
hear,
Was
can
that an
tell
E or a G?
that's an A.
Oh, okay.
I like the key stuff like things in A, things in the key of A.
It's funny because a lot of my stuff, I never did it on purpose, but my stuff, a lot of it's in the key of E. So I've been fucking around with like C and different, stuff to write new stuff.
Oh, I'm not sure if this guitar has a key of E. I'm kidding. It's got all the keys.
Yeah.
It unlocks all the gates. The more can be accomplished conquering the world for peace and love with this than any standing army's full arsenal.
I
And
can't disagree with that. Nothing unites people more than a sick fucking riff from an electric guitar.
powers that be have conspired against this, and we're heading towards a future like literally out of Rush 2112 with like who discovers a guitar, that's been banned, or even Red Barchetta, where you have to escape to your uncle's old farm to drive a gasoline powered car he's got stored in. I don't like that future.
Me neither.
I'm a holdout. And it's sad to see that young people aren't experiencing growing up the way that free people should.
Yeah.
That's all. That's my whole philosophy. I don't call it politics. I just call it a philosophy of life, man. Live and let live.
It's not politics. It's being a good person or a shitty person. You know? That's what it comes down to for me. Everyone wants to make everything political, but it's not.
I grew up with like rock and roll is my religion and law, and
me too.
These things were instilled in my head. It's your thing. Do what you're gonna.
Yeah.
I can't. Who to sock it to? That's the life philosophy. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. But I can't tell you who to sock it to.
Yeah.
I mean. But rock and roll is definitely alive. There's so many great bands out there right now,
and they are. You just have to dig underneath the surface, especially here in America. I've seen a lot of good stuff coming out of Europe. I mean, you're one of the only American artists doing anything similar to what the bands I've been listening to in Europe and Scandinavia have been doing. Like the Trench Dogs and stuff like that. Even
more popular artists like the Struts, who combine that great rock and roll imagery, little glam, little retro.
There's a band out of Buffalo called Wicked that's just straight up awesome. I don't know if you know them or not, but
what's the name?
Wicked. They're out of Buffalo up here.
Probably heard of them. Every day I'm cruising through the highlands of Facebook and all the bands promoting and seeing who's playing and trying to keep up on it all, but so many great bands.
Yeah.
You can only
it's a good thing. Rock and roll has never died. It's been, under the current mainstream many times before, but it always busts out stronger in the end. So
it's always had its underground, and
that's cool because that's something they can't take away from us. The mainstream can't take it away from us. You know what I mean?
You like the key of E, huh? The bluesy key?
I don't have mine plugged in, but like I do a lot of arpeggio and mixing pretty stuff and then dirtying it up.
Guitar is so beautiful. I love the guitar. Cars,
It's purity. It's
cars. I mean,
purity. It's freedom. Cars and guitars, man.
as cliche as it sounds, I mean, I don't know. I was saying for years, you know, when we were on tour with Tattoo Millionaires, we had this old tour bus that we got and rolling around. I'm like, this is really the last freedom there is. Like rolling around the country, you know, playing shows.
Yeah.
I mean, times and bad times when you toured at our level, you know, there was always a security risk.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that. Um, but when it was good, it was good, and when it was bad, it was hardship and lessons learned and make you stronger. And
Yeah.
you
When
but I
I
got
interviewed Phil Lewis, he said something similar to that. When it's going good and you're loving what you're doing, it's the best thing in the world. But when you lose that love for it or it turns sour, it sucks.
I cut that down to when it's fun, I'm done. If it's not fun, I'm done.
Yeah, that's a
Nope.
good way to put it.
I tell everyone in the band that too, in the recent lineups, dude. If it's not fun, like, what's the point? I don't know. You know, what is the point? You know, there used to be a time bands went out there and they were on the front line
Mhm.
of things. And I don't know, some of the dangerous, you know, is and the true revolutionary and dangerous rock and roll, like we look on in history when the Who played these incendiary shows, you know, and they smashed their amps and it was dangerous and it wasn't comical and it wasn't a gimmick. You know, it
No.
becomes gimmicks. And what are you mumbling about down there?
I'm not.
Are you humming? You got a new song?
No.
Excuse my sidekick.
Oh, it's okay.
But yeah, and that's, I think it's kind of missing. I don't know. Things can become too cliche, but then
Yeah.
there's like, is it Rambler? What's that band? Anyway, they're good, and the singer scares me a little bit. So if it doesn't scare you a little bit,
Yeah.
I mean, the more straight it is, sometimes the more scary it can be. You know, when five guys show up in business suits looking like, you know, they got off the subway and, you know, going to their Wall Street jobs, but they come out and they play something that's like, never mind the bollocks, you know, like, it's like, whoa, like
I
when
saw a band open up for the Addicts like that, the Secret Service men. They do like a political satire, hardcore punk thing, but I nudged my wife. I said, "Doesn't the singer there look like a high school principal?" But then they come out like, "Get stoned," and it's like hitting hard, and it's just like, "Oh wow, okay." It's funny. It's great. I love when I like, have a false expectation, and then it just punches you in the gut, and it's real, you know.
yeah, I like that too. Those, you know, expect the unexpected, and if you keep pushing and you keep out there and you're doing what you like to do, whether it's your hobbies or whatever you love to do that makes you happy, you should just kind of focus on trying to do that.
Yeah, that's what
And
I've done for the last 13 years, and I'm still doing it. I
yeah,
don't know
so
nothing else. Rock and roll and cars.
exactly. And what's keeping me happy is doing my own thing. You know, I kind of made the decision to just like start putting out records and get these songs out there, and got the 2 solo records out in the last year and a half, to Make Your
I love
Move.
them, man. They're great. I have them on heavy rotation on my show when I'm freaking driving. Like,
Nice.
you know,
Yeah, excited. I mean, you know, a couple of the songs early on got picked up by Rodney Bingenheimer on his show, Rodney on the Rock. Guys, great, amazing, incredible story with Rodney. And, you know, you could see it online with the Mayor of Sunset Strip, you know, documentaries that they put out.
yeah.
But he picked up on it and started playing on his show and had a good run. Both the records have had good runs on the indie charts. I think, you know, we had a couple of the songs go to #1 for a few weeks, and we had a recent one go to #3 on the charts, and they're getting lots of indie and internet radio play, which is exciting. That's like
Absolutely.
that's what you want. At the end of the day, it's like, I don't care how cool you think I am. I just like, do you listen to the song? Do you enjoy the song? You know?
Absolutely. And
And
you've got a song for every mood. You really do.
it seems to be breaking through some barriers as far as, who's listening, people that are into the glam rock seem to find something to like about it. You're
Yeah.
lean on the punk side of thing or the metal side of thing. You find stuff in there that, gets your foot tapping. So
Yeah.
that's cool because I've never just kind of tried to be one thing in a long time. It's just like kind of be a rock band. Being out in LA for 20 years kind of branded me as, a Sunset Strip, Hollywood guy. And it's true. I spent nights on the Sunset Strip and I was a Hollywood guy, but
You
I
seem a
left.
bit more hard, like working class kind of rocker than an LA, glam rocker, if that
Over
makes
the
sense.
years, I became friends and, acquaintances of many of the people in those bands. And I have a lot of respect for them. Tammy, from Faster Pussycat had
Yeah, I met him. He's a great guy. He's kind and sweet and down to earth.
We used to do a nightclub called Pretty Ugly Club, and we play there with our bands, and it was always a great time. And through the thin times when those guys, there wasn't a lot of demand for that music for a little bit. You see the guys did what they did, stayed relevant, and rode the storm out until there's a resurgence. It's like the big wheel, keep spinning around. You're on top. And then you got the long time to focus on other things. Don't get too down when it's down, because if you just keep doing what you love to do, keep contributing what you can to the rock community, eventually you'll be up.
And that's what I try to do. Is everything I do is out of the pure love of music, and it seems like that's the same reason why you do what you do. It's real. It's not a facade.
Yeah. Some of it is keeping up with the Joneses, and a lot of it's just organic, like writing songs because that's what I do. Put them out, people to hear them. Put a band together when there's a demand to play.
Do you have any plans to come towards the East Coast, towards my way?
Yeah, the plan is to play everywhere in the world, and that's what it would have been before COVID, came out. Put everyone's plans on hold. I've done what I can do. I've gone down to Florida on a couple runs.
I was supposed to see a band on the 16th of August, and they had to cancel it because the singer got COVID. And then, like 6 days later, he's in the hospital, and then he died on the 23rd. It's pretty awful. And then my Kiss show got canceled because Paul tested positive for COVID.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it is affecting people. There's a lot of starting and stopping going right now.
Yeah,
seem to be power. Mammoth, Wolf came in, or his camp did, and they had to drop off for a few shows. But
well, through hard times, we always get the best rock music. That's always been the truth.
Pulling on the pinball machine.
That's awesome.
That's my boy's way of being heard. You can be seen and heard, you can play the pinball machine anytime you like, Thor, but I'm talking on the phone. Water, please.
So what was the first group that you were in? Because I know you've got quite a history. You worked with Jill, who ended up in Huntress eventually, right?
Yeah, when I was in LA, one night I was at the Viper Room, and there are a few like D-listers there. I'm not even on the list, but they're D-listers. Yeah. I remember the Osborne kids were there, and there was Metal School, which became Steel Panther. It was that group of fellas, and they were on stage doing their thing. And at some point, there was an open mic call, and this chick got on stage to sing "Sweet Child of Mine," and she just blew the roof off the place. And it was obvious that she was just a talent to be reckoned with right from the, it's like she came off the Greyhound bus, went to the Viper Room, stepped on the stage, and everyone instantly knew that this chick could sing. I remember the Viper Room, kind of like the door opened up, and it's always like, oh, coming out of that office. And he stood in the doorway and watched, shaking his head in approval.
Yeah.
So after the show, I said, hey, who are you? She, introduced herself as Tuesday. Thank you, Thor. And I said, oh, we got to get a band going, man. And exchange contact information. And then she found a drummer and we got jamming, and it became Bexy Strut. Played some cool. Then I had to roll on because I had things going with my band, Tattooed Millionaires, at the time. So it was kind of like I had to bow out of that because I had commitments and shows. And, we kind of got this project going, had some fun, and it took off quick. She was in Playboy magazine, and then that generated some stuff. Then she had a celebrity cover band that was packing them in with the guitar player from the Donnas. And
wow.
Corey Parks is her name. The bass player out of Nashville Pussy was in her cover band, and that was packing them in, and the celebrities were coming on stage. And I think Lemmy was coming on stage and playing. And, I remember seeing Carlos Cavazo come up there and play guitar.
Awesome.
Quiet Riot. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. She was an amazing person, Jill. It's such a tragedy that she's not with us anymore, because
I agree.
She definitely brought the life to the party. She did a couple of clubs, that became the place to be, the spot. Yeah. And she always brought fun, excitement, and made everyone feel special. So that was a cool band. Before that, my claim to fame was the time I spent with Space Age Playboys, and that was with Corey Clark from Warrior Soul. And I knew Warrior Soul because I was from New York, and I'd seen Warrior Soul a few times in the clubs out in New York before I moved to LA. Nice. So we had a mutual friend, Riley Baxter, who's a famous tattoo artist, right? Who played bass in bands and knew me and knew Corey, and put us in touch. And me and Corey clicked that summer and wrote an album and a half's worth of great songs, and kind of experienced what, the Pistols did, like one great record and one amazing tour that ended in a spectacular disaster type situation. Yeah. But while it was going, it was going. It was in Kerrang, it was in Metal Hammer, it was in the magazines, it was on the charts. We went to great parties in London, private affairs, and had a tour bus and played festivals, opening for Metallica and Monster Magnet, and playing shows with Lacuna Coil in Italy, and Backyard Babies in Sweden, and got really, it was a roller coaster ride, because in 2 years it went from like writing a record in some little cramped garage on the outskirts of downtown LA to like being on the big stage. And to Corey's credit, he had a big loyal following that supported him through his changes and his solo projects and our band. And many of them stuck by me when we moved on. Me and the drummer moved on to a band called Queer for Girls, and put out a record on a Swedish label, and that became Tattooed Millionaires, which became the Johnny Jetson band. And there was a recent review of the album that came out of England, and the woman writer said something along like, out of the other projects that were spawned from Space Age Playboys, Johnny's music seems to be the most like that record. And well, it's no surprise, because that's the music, and it's like kind of not a one-trick pony. I've got a couple of ponies stable, maybe two, but I dress them up nice. It's out there, a new trick every now and then.
It just kind of reminds me of how people give KK Downing shit because his new project sounds so much like Judas Priest. Well, what do you expect?
Good. Living after midnight, rocking to loving till the morning. I'm gone.
Let's hope we don't get copyright for that.
Loaded. I go start again. Sing with me.
Loaded. Loaded.
Alive in
From
the
the neon lights. That's when I make my move, right?
I can run. That's one of the first riffs you pick up in the guitar. I mean, if you learn
I
how to
picked
play
it up on bass and translated it to guitar.
in the
I
1970s,
started playing at 8 and learned how to play the guitar solo to I Should Have Known Better by the Beatles. I got that perfect by ear when I was like 9 and never got it right again because I thought too much about it. But it was Let Me Go Rock and Roll. And then when I picked up the bass, it was Whole Lotta Rosie and Living After Midnight, I learned. And then it was easy to translate it on guitar. You know?
well, there's so many ways to play stuff, and
I've
it's easy.
noticed that.
You know, you get personality. You know, the more complexity you add to your playing, that's for sure. But I'm a pretty basic guitar player from the school of Johnny Thunders and Ace
Me
Frehley.
too.
Growing up in New York
Right.
to, you know, I mean, I remember hearing Pat Travers, the live version of, you know, smoking whiskey and drinking cocaine and that freaking guitars. And then hearing Thunder and Lightning from Thin Lizzy, you know, the guitar player and guitar playing in all of Thin Lizzy is amazing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was definitely a level that I heard where it's like, Johnny, you're not going to ever get there. You're never going to rip that solo unless you want to spend your life in your bedroom, like over and over and over again. Just take what you can from what you can and put it in your blender.
That's what I did with punk rock. Punk rock was the first time where I said, okay, if I can take this and the other stuff I like and throw that into a bag and shake that up, I think I'd be all right, you know?
The extent of my noodling. I like the short and sweet, you know? But you'll hear on the guitar playing, there's melodic solos. I mean, there's some ripping, there's some, you know, Johnny B. Good type stuff. And then there's, you know, the climbing notes with some harmonies.
Oh, yeah. I love what you did with the guitar line, the lead guitar line that's going along with the vocal line on Standing on the Moon.
Oh.
Great one.
The Shadow.
In the Shadow of the Moon. Sorry. Yeah. In the Shadow of the Moon. That line along with the vocal was just so great. That just added an aura to that song, like you were looking up at the stars with the girl on the hood of your car, you know?
There'll be an inspection in 10 minutes, young man. A past inspection, I'll take you downtown to DQ. Good boy. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I've been trying to develop. I don't know what did it to me. I was listening to like Wilson Pickett and Otis Redding and a lot of that soul music and smoking a lot of weed out in California. And I started to try to simplify it. And there was one song I had on a Tattoo Millionaires record called I Want to Give It to You. And it was like, I want to give it to you.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Ooh, baby, I want to give it to you. I want to give it to you.
It reminded me when I first heard that song, I thought of I Want You by the Beatles.
And then on the last record, there was, or on the Make Your Move, we had You Only Love Me for My Car.
I love that song.
You only love me for my car. You only love me for my car. You only, you know, you get it. By then it's in your head. By then, when you hear it fourth time and it's just the riff doing it, your mind is singing it along with the riff.
Yep, exactly.
So
Like I said, it's those little simple things that make such a huge difference that just blows my mind. The simplicity of it, you know?
then I added like the minor note, which, people that know music, they always say, oh, the Beatles were fantastic writers because they threw in that minor note, that minor key. It all hinged on that like one off but beautifully off note, right? So I tried to incorporate that with the every shadow on a moon.
I love that. Yeah,
Every shadow on a moon.
adds a little discord, you know what I mean?
Looks just like you. Oh, that's the notes. You're the one that I'm into. Nothing matters without you. Bring it up to the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So a conflict there between which is like just pretty, and then it brings you down.
Yeah. I
Off
like
again.
that though. It gives a little bit of haunting, a little bit of discord within it. It gives it a nice vibe, an aura. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you can appreciate that, Andy. Thank you.
Like that's something, I loved Pink Floyd growing up. I learned how to play bass to Nevermind the Bollocks and the first Pink Floyd record, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. So all that experimental bass shit on Interstellar Overdrive, I figured out because I had a VHS of them playing it like in '66. And like just the way that Pink Floyd was able to make you feel things just by the music before they said a word. You know what I mean? That gave you chills. There's always been an element to stuff like that that I've been able to sniff out because I look for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can remember as a young child, my parents dragging me to their friend's house to listen to Dark Side of the Moon, like when it had come out recently, had like a
Oh
listening
wow.
party.
Yeah.
So I was the one kid there gathered in, a room full of adults all smoking marijuana. And, he pulls out the record, and there wasn't much to stare at the cover, but that's what I did as a kid, looked at
Yeah.
looked the cover over and the prism and put it on his old Marantz, glowing that blue green light of the vintage 70s Marantz amplifier, and putting Dark Side when it came out. That was pretty mind blowing as a kid.
I'd imagine.
That. I mean, I got into Pink Floyd. I had those records all through the 70s, even back to like the early stuff like Uma Guma. I mean, I had Relics, I think, and I tried to get into some of that really early stuff, but I don't know, it was cool and artistic, I get, but I like to rock, I mean,
Yeah.
if I could hear, I Want to Hold Your Hand from the Beatles or something off like, obscure early Pink Floyd, I'm going to hit the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yeah. I get, it's the simplicity. I keep going back to the Stooges.
Sorry, figuring it out on the fly.
No, I've done that so many times.
I love the little climb there.
Yeah, the little sliding. I love that shit. I don't know if you're into them, but the Melvins did a pretty brutal cover of that and made it their own recently.
I might have to cover it.
Well, it'd be perfect for you. You want?
it.
Gotta have the hand claps. That's so rock and roll. People forget that shit.
Yeah. I'm very thankful on the last two records to have had the privilege and pleasure of working with Adam Hamilton. He's amazing talent on the West Coast, and drummer and mixer and masterer and all around great guy. He did the drumming and mixed and mastered the last two records, and you should check it out because he did an awesome job.
Absolutely. I've been playing the shit nonstop. So
So, Andy, you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
Well, at the end of the day, what do you love about music, my friend?
Well, I think that playing music, especially if you start out young, kind of opens up an area in your mind that helps you out later in life and makes it easier to learn, and maybe even opens you up to a different consciousness and reality. I mean, people that don't have music in their life, and there's plenty of them, and they seem to be happy. I mean, I don't know how you could be happy without music in your life, but there are people out there that just don't listen to a lot of music, or if they do, it's just because like someone put something on, they don't
Yeah.
seek it out. They don't, purposely like surround their life with, you know, music in all formats. I mean, there's people out there that, they love a record. Well, they want it on vinyl and they want it on CD. And if they find it on cassette, they're buying it. And if they see it in 8-track, even though they don't have a player, they're going to buy it.
That's me.
Yeah. And that's kind of me too. I want the stuff because it's cool and it harkens back. And, I give a lot of stuff away too. I mean, if I love it, I only like to buy stuff that I love. It's really hard for me to shop for people, and try to figure out what they want, or what, it's like, if they want it, they're going to buy it mainly, if it's like a family member and, they're struggling and they need a laptop and you save their life by buying them a laptop, buy them a laptop, don't give them some freaking need. But, so it's great for holidays and birthdays and stuff. I just go walking around my little man cave and, find knickknacks here and there. It's like, yeah, that's who needs this.
Yeah. I was going to say, you'd probably have no problem shopping for me. We're pretty similar, it seems, on a lot of fronts. So that's what's really cool. I was able to pick that up from your music. I'm like, this guy likes a lot of the shit I do. I don't know if you remember, but when I was still cutting my teeth as a young rock writer, I was actually shortly writing for the rock and roll publicity machine that you were running.
Yeah, I tried over the years to get things going.
I tried as well. Some people just never got back to me. I remember that.
Even Cream is having trouble. Like if you're Cream and you're having trouble, like trying to get it going again, like where does
Cream's
that?
legendary? Like they are the rock and roll magazine, America's only rock and roll magazine.
Yeah.
Sad.
I don't know. A time and a place for everything, and certain elements of it. And it's like you can't. I'm not going to try to hold on to something that no one else wants to hold on to. I mean, at that point, you're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell people what to do or what to read or where to go or anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to make my music and say, check it out. It's like, but
that's what I do with my show. I'm not pushy. It's like, hey, you got time? Check it out, man.
They're banning movies, they're banning books, they're banning movies, they're banning books. I mean, could a magazine like Cream with that wit and that humor, survive today or be relevant, or would it just be torn?
That's a very valid point.
Be torn apart. I made a comment on Stevie Nicks' post the other day. You're still my favorite Cream dream, and I got crucified for it. Everyone like thought I was the biggest idiot in the world for how dare I post something so crude and rude
and perverted and all that. And it's like, no, that was a profile on the magazine.
Yeah, there were a couple people that came forward to defend me and post photos of her on the Cream Dream thing. For those that don't know, Cream magazine used to have a page where it was like Cream girls or guys. It was like the hot rock and the hot guys.
And then they had that segment with the stars, cars.
Right, stars, cars.
Like there's no magazine that does anything like that anymore for rock music. And I mean, I know people don't read anymore, but the spirit of Cream, and since I discovered what Cream really meant and was about, I'm like, I gotta try to find a way to make that attitude modern, but it's hard to do.
Okay, well, we'll play 5 name the Kiss riff. Okay,
All right, let's see what we got.
here we go. Number 1.
Making love.
Very good.
Almost human.
Very good.
Rocket ride. Rocket ride. Oh yeah, rocket ride, baby.
Sorry, I just had to play the whole riff, you know.
No, it's such a good riff, you can't not play the whole thing. Take me. Take me, brother. Yeah.
Is that 4 or is that 5?
I think that was 5. Did I pass the test?
Got him quick and easy. Although I stayed with the mainstream, I didn't get too off the mainstream there.
I enjoyed The Elder and Unmasked and pretty much everything they've done. I've got a partially sealed cassette copy of Carnival of Souls even.
I have some Kiss collectibles from back in the day. We've got the set of Kiss cards, and we've got the love gun, the paper pop gun.
Oh, that's cool. That's one I don't have.
I mean,
I've got a few cool things, but nothing too.
It's really doll wearing Paul Stanley's costume.
I got an original Paul Stanley doll that's missing the armbands, and they were
cross-dressing my Kiss dolls. I remember it was so. I would bring my Kiss dolls over to my little friends in the neighborhood's house and play with their Barbies, and their Barbies would be dating my Kiss dolls.
Oh, that's cool as shit. That was the one way you could get away with that. All right, brother, man. What are your future plans for your fans and all?
Well, hey, it's Friday. I don't know if it's still going to be Friday when you post this up, but if it is still Friday when you post it up, every Friday, first Friday of the month is Bandcamp Band Friday, where they waive their fees and all the money goes right to the band. So the dollar download goes to the band. So that's something that's going on, not just for me, but for all the great bands out there.
Yeah, you're the first one that we've interviewed to mention that. I didn't know if that was still going on or not. So thank you for that update.
Really, it's still the first Friday of the month is your day to go to Bandcamp and think about what you have and what you can do for the morale of the bands. Hey, people get notified. Hey, we just got to sold a download, man. You just made that band's day, even if it's just one down. For $5 you could put 5 smiles on bands' faces because you're buying their music from them.
Exactly.
But still keep streaming the tunes. Follow on Instagram and Spotify. There isn't a .com site, but there's a Johnny Jetson page on Facebook, and there's our profile page on Apple Music.
Yep, we'll be sending just send me what links you want underneath the video, and we'll put that in when we upload it so people can go right to your stuff.
Fantastic. Are you gonna
absolutely
edit it out? Because this is a long.
We've had longer. We had Rocky Shades on for almost 4 hours.
So what's one of your favorite songs off the new record, the Overheated?
Overheated? Oh man, that's so tough because I love Light 'Em Up and I love Shine You Up.
Gonna pick you up
in a big black car. Drive you around like a movie star. I'm gonna shine you up and take you around the moon.
Fill you up like a Dixie cup. Tilt you back cause bottoms up. Gonna shine you up around the moon. None of them have what you do.
It's true.
Are you up in a rocket ship? Lift you up till you bite your lip. Gonna shine you up. Round. All right, that's the abbreviated version. We don't want to bore people at home.
Oh yeah, we don't want to do that. I'm playing along, following your hands. So
Yeah. Like, what's going on here? These guys are out of sync, man. Don't they know how to
whoa. But all right, brother. So
good the Andy, the Andy and Crash show. Johnny
keeping,
Jetson. I'll see
yeah.
you.
Thanks, guys. If you like what we're doing with all the interviews, interviewing people like Johnny Jetson, hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment for him. Take it easy, guys. Rock on.